Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by the Lines and Play Picks. Coming to you from Oakland, California, Josh Lander, joined by my counterpart as always, Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. Another great article up for you today on a big full slate on Friday, Nate. I did want to tell you guys we appreciate you jumping in the comments, liking and subscribing. Please keep doing that if we're providing those winners for you. Like last night, we were pretty hot on that small slate. And something else we're going to throw in the mix for you guys on Monday of next week. We're going to start giving away a gift card, at least on Monday. We're going to offer a contest for someone to guess something. We'll offer a prop of some kind that you guys can guess correctly. Put in the comments in the YouTube section, the comment section of the YouTube video. And we'll go ahead and give the winner that $25 to bet on the game of their choosing, whatever they'd like to do with that money moving forward. So look for that on Monday. And as far as tonight goes, Nate, let's jump into that slate for the 29th.
Yes, sir. We have Pacers -3.5 at Hornets, Clippers now +3.5 at Magic, Hawks -4 at Wizards, Cavs even at the Knicks, Kings +5.5 at Raptors, Bucks -7 at Pelicans, Sixers -7 at Wolves with Joel Embiid strongly questionable with a back injury, Nets -9 at Thunder, Nuggets -4 at Spurs, and the Mavericks are +4 at the Jazz. So, Josh, where are you putting your money tonight?
I am putting my money in a place that we've actually already mentioned on this podcast before we would never do, which is an under in a Wizards game. I'm looking at that Hawks-Wizards game, and what jumped out to me is I think people are still under the impression that Atlanta can't play defense, and they are incorrect. Atlanta, especially with Clint Capella in the lineup, is very good at defense. Actually, they have the 11th best defensive rating in the league for the entire year. With Capella in the lineup this year, they give up 5 less points a game. Really, also, especially against a team like the Wiz, you want to be able to guard the three, and that's what they do to the tune of the second best opponent 3-point percentage in the league. They guard all over the floor overall. They give up their top 5 in opponent field goal percentage. And they've been hitting the unders a good amount. It's actually risen this total from 232 or so to about 234 already. I'm going to hit it now, and I'm honestly going to keep waiting to see if the public continues to have that perception that this game should go really high and continues to bet it up like they are. I love fading the public. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I love the under pick, and I like the Hawks to win even more. So I'm looking at a money line with the Hawks and the under. That way you don't have to worry about the spread as much. And you can get about +200 on that. Just looking at the Wizards are getting some guys back tonight, which makes me a little worried about their offense getting on track. But I mean, with Westbrook, they're still 1-8 with a -8.3 net rating. I don't think that they're going to beat a Hawks team that's really clicking. Clint Capella is probable tonight. They're just a problem with Capella and Collins rolling off Trae Young, and the Hawks have been doing really well lately, as you mentioned. Over their last 5, they're in top 10 offensive rating, and their defense has been strong all year, really. So I don't see any way that the Wizards are going to pull that one out. Looking at the Spurs and Nuggets, for me, I like another game. I'm not sure about the Nuggets covering 4 points on the road, but I do really like the player performance bonus that you get at FanDuel. That paid off last night with Christian Wood. I think there's another really easy opportunity here to get Nikola Jokic on some of those performance bonuses. So that's just him to get a certain prop and the Nuggets to win. No spread there. And I like particularly him to get a double-double, which he's done in every single game this year, by the way. And that would get you +116 odds on FanDuel. Or if you want to get a little better odds, I think you can get 12-plus boards. That's +250 odds with a Nuggets win. We're looking at a Spurs team that allows the second most defensive rebounds per game because they allow the fewest transition points per game. Popovich will skewer anyone who gives up a fast break point, so they just get right back on defense. Jokic's just going to gobble up those boards. As far as the Nuggets winning, they're 5-1 when listed as road favorites this year. They're 5-0 over their last 5, averaging 119 a game since Michael Porter Jr. returned, and they won 3 straight against the Spurs, averaging 124 points per game in that span.
Yeah, I like the Jokic props all over the place. Pairing it with a Denver win feels nice against the Spurs. I don't like the Spurs. I mentioned it before. I think they're a fraud. I'm very upset that they pulled out a win against the Celtics the other night, making me look bad there. But I do think that they are, they've regressed to their mean, and Denver has picked it up in a way that this is the team that we expect Denver to be, not the team that started 1-4. So I'm completely with that bet. Another similar bet and similar game, really, when you talk about Dallas and Utah, there's a lot of similarities there in terms of Utah and Denver both trending in the right direction. And I think I'm going to keep riding Utah as well as they take on the Mavs again at home. One of those home back-to-backs that we see this year. They worked them last time without Donovan Mitchell. We'll see if he plays tonight. But even if he doesn't, Gobert, there's no one to handle Gobert right now for the Mavs down low. They were looking really good down low on defense recently, and that has not been the case in the last few games. And really Dallas needs Luka to be Luka, especial, if you will. And he's 0-3 on the road in his career against these Jazz, just 1-4 total against them. And that Dallas defensive rating, as I mentioned, has just dropped too far for me to trust them against a Utah team that is scorching the net at about a 45% rate from three. And so I feel comfortable with Utah and another small, about 4-point spread there.
Yeah, I agree. And it's not really Gobert dominating on offense that would worry me for Dallas. It's his ability to patrol the paint. Luka can't really do his slow-mo finishes with that guy around. Porzingis was kind of a non-factor in their previous meeting. And yeah, I think he leads a defense that's really clicking. Obviously, best net rating over their 10-game win streak. And yeah, the Mavs are dead last in defensive rating over their last 5. It did not immediately get better with their 4 guys coming off the COVID list. I think it might still take some time. I mean, they were struggling early in the season with those guys playing. So there's still a lot to figure out there for Dallas, for sure. Transitioning to a game that I know Josh will be watching, but probably the rest of America not so much. The Knicks hosting the Cavs. Cleveland has a reputation of being a team that mucks it up because early in the season they were, but they've really turned a corner, especially since that trade, averaging 121 points per game, shooting the second best mark, 49% from the field during their last 5 games. And they've been pretty good in the clutch. They're 6-2 in games within 5 points in the last 5 minutes. They allow the second fewest points per game in the fourth quarter. And they've been handling bad teams. 3 of their last 4 against losing teams they've won. And they have 2 wins against the Nets, who you can call whatever you like in that span. So I see them with Drummond and Jared Allen playing big minutes. I see them able to kind of negate what the Knicks do well, which is just relentlessly attack the paint and pack everything in defensively as well. I think Sexland and company is able to scorch that approach.
All right, I'll talk to that, but I'm not here for the Knicks slander any further. They are somewhat for real. We'll just say that. I agree, though. What I like about Cleveland is what you mentioned, the way that they handle bad teams. I'm not going to say they beat good teams just because they beat Brooklyn twice. I don't know what Brooklyn is. Those games are an anomaly, but what's not an anomaly is Colin Sexton. He showed what he's made of in those 2 games specifically, pretty much taking on the big 3 in the Nets in their first overtime win against them. And I like what he's doing enough to really, be the difference maker in a game where you're going to see a lot of banging down low, as these teams, I think, occupy roughly about 40% of the centers in the league on both their rosters. But yeah, no, I'm with the Cavs pick. Unfortunately, I do have to agree with you. And a quick hit for you, Nate. Something that I'm keeping an eye on. I know if rule number 1 is you don't bet the under against the Wizards, rule number 2 is you don't bet the under against the Kings. However, what I'm looking at here is, once again, I believe there's a public perception that Toronto is still this run and gun team that is going to look to stay to the pace that the Kings want to play at. My belief is they're a better team, and they have actually, slowed down their pace a ton. Nick Nurse has realized that when they started out with, the hottest pace, pulling the most threes in the league, scoring, over 110 points a game, that wasn't cutting it, starting out with a putrid record that they did. So, in their last 10 games where they've pulled, crawled back close to 500 at this point. The under is has hit 8 out of 10 of those games. They've only reached the spread for tonight's game of 228.5 twice in that span. They've dropped from top 3 in pace to bottom 10 in pace in just the last 10 games. And they've also upped their defensive rating to the top 10 from the bottom 10. So, there's been a massive, complete 180 from this team in their philosophy. And that's been the reason for their, recent success. So I think Nick Nurse does the math well enough to know, slow down the pace against a team that can only score and can't play D, and we should be fine.
Yeah, no problem with that. Fading the public once again, Josh. You are a true contrarian.
Thank you.
Looking at some DFS notes tonight, as you mentioned in that game, I think the Raptors could give their run and gun guys a little more of a look, considering how the Kings play. Norman Powell is going to be locked in no matter how they play, especially if OG is out. Jordan Clarkson is a very good value, especially if Donovan Mitchell is out. You can find more value for the Sixers if Joel Embiid is out. I mean, it didn't really show up in that last game, but Tony Bradley might be overlooked with everyone rolling towards Dwight Howard, who still can't really play more than 25 minutes, even if he's starting for Embiid. On the Wolves side, Anthony Edwards starting to percolate with D'Angelo Russell on the shelf. The Clippers obviously have loads of decent values in Ibaka, Reggie Jackson, Terrence Mann. And as far as paying up for guys, I like the Pacers' big two, Sabonis and Brogdon against the Hornets. Weak interior defense. I think those guys are locked in cash for 40-plus fantasy points. Sabonis managed a triple-double against the Hornets last time out, and I think both of them follow through in the rematch.
Good stuff, Nate. I know we'll be playing a little head-to-head tonight on DFS, as we are wont to do. Continue to check in with us, guys. Like, subscribe, as we always ask. We'll be seeing you in the comments later. And remember to come back on Monday, as we will have a $25 gift card contest for someone who can guess one of our props that we'll put out there for you in the comments section of our YouTube video. We'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend and happy betting.